Hello, this is Dr. Mary Lou sharing a war story about a student's first injection. I'm going to walk you through this first injection using Gronlund's hierarchy of psychomotor learning domain that you can find in your O'Connor textbook. So first off, the student started with perception, and she did very well there. We actually walked through the whole injection, which was an insulin that we were going to give in this gentleman's arm while he was sitting in a wheelchair. So we walked through the whole procedure in the skills lab. I had her actually practice on a napkin. We wasted a syringe, pretended we filled it with insulin with air to make sure she could get the right number, corrective units. And then the whole technique, wiping with the alcohol, everything using a napkin. I made sure she realized I was not testing her, but that we were going to go through this injection together. Although you're always evaluating your student, but to some degree, you have to let them know that you're not just testing them to decrease their anxiety. Okay, then she went through set, readiness to act. Okay, and she really did seem very much ready. We went through all the steps and we went out to the patient, and this is where she started doing that deep breathing, squaring her shoulders. She did actually even briefly close her eyes a little bit. This is when I should have started wondering about her, and then she was sighing. So I had her squat down, get down to the floor. I wanted her close to the floor as possible. I was starting to wonder about her. I says, are we going to continue with this? She said yes. I actually had to take her hand and push her fingers so that the injection would go into the patient's skin, because at that point she froze. We got the injection done. She did okay with keeping sterile technique. She just needed that help with the push. She's still sighing down there. I says, okay, now I grabbed the syringe from her and we got her into the med room immediately, where she immediately started to vomit. Yes, my stories are not always about vomit, but here we have another one. She's thrown up all over that med room. A nurse came in and we helped her. We got her emesis basin, cool cloth, laid her on the floor, put her feet up in the air, the whole bit. Eventually, we actually had to call this girl's mother to come pick her up at the clinical site because she just could not continue through the day. She did not live with her mother, but we called her mother anyway, and she came and picked her up and took her home. So guided response, well, she needed a lot of guidance from me that day, a lot more than I would consider that she would be successful for the clinical, and that meant that she was going to have to do a lot more practicing too. But this was kind of an unforgettable war story on injections. So 4 lessons learned from this experience. Number 1, consistently, continuously assess your students as they are preparing to do a new skill, because you just never know what's going to happen next. Number 2, be prepared for the first skill post-reaction. So sometimes they can put off this reaction until later, which is probably better, and that's a good thing for a nurse to learn anyway, isn't it? Number 3, encourage debriefing about such situations so that more learning can happen from it. Number 4, practice, practice, practice. Yes, indeed, the student did at least 2 or 3 more injections before the semester ended with me, just so that I could assure that she could start to handle this kind of situation. And lo and behold, she did just fine. And we had a good laugh about this when she graduated. Bye-bye.